In this Ask Me Anything episode, I'll be answering the questions, what is affirmation therapy? Who are my patron saints? And what's the difference between Catholic and non-Catholic meditation? Welcome to Physically Spiritual. I've been amazed by how much growing physically healthier has changed my spiritual life. I am captivated with discovering the truth about my body and how it relates to my relationship with God. Physically Spiritual is my attempt to harmonize and share what I have discovered. I'm your host, Andrew Reinhart. Our first question is from Father Matt in the Totus Tuus community. His question was simply, what is affirmation therapy? In an earlier episode, I mentioned this idea, and he was curious what it was all about. So we're going to actually have full episodes toward the end of the season on some of these topics, and I'm hoping to get an expert in affirmation therapy on the show to talk to about these topics. But just a little bit of a teaser to that to start out the episode. Affirmation therapy was developed by two Catholic mental health professionals. The first, Conrad Bars. Conrad Bars was he was a Dutch American psychiatrist. He lived through the Second World War, was resistant to the Nazis, and ended up having to survive in a concentration camp. Then moved to the United States after the war. As a psychiatrist, though, he became discouraged by practicing his form of medicine, which is really just to kind of diagnose and give meds and maybe try some counseling. But what he found was oftentimes his patients wouldn't get better as a result of the standard of care. And he was discouraged to the point where he was about ready to quit the field of psychiatry. But he traveled back home. And when he was home, he was introduced to the thought of another Catholic mental health professional named Anna Terwini. And Anna Teraway. I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong. I'll put links in the show notes to this. And what she was doing was integrating the thought in kind of the idea of the human person from St. Thomas Aquinas. As I've mentioned earlier in the season, a lot of psychology focuses on abnormal psychology, meaning what are all the things that go wrong in the person, but doesn't often provide a clear vision of what health looks like. And so what Dr. Teraway was doing was using St. Thomas Aquinas and really the perennial thought of the classic tradition in order to come to understand what a healthy person looks like, and then applying the insights of that to her practice to help people grow out of various mental illnesses, various other mental struggles. So affirmation therapy is the approach to counseling that grew out of this insight between really the insights of Freud that came to inform early psychotherapy, integrated with the thought of St. Thomas Aquinas about what a healthy human person is. The term affirmation comes from their approach. And what it is it's the affirmation we receive when we receive the full and undivided attention and acceptance of the person we're with. In more contemporary neurological language, we might use the term attachment love to kind of communicate a very similar idea. But this idea of affirmation is more from the theological and philosophical perspective. So the idea is that the presence of the other person, the receiving the presence of the other person, affirms us at the core of our being. Because one of the things that's essential to our development and maturity is the development of our passions, our emotions, our attractions and repulsions to things. And if we're not given healthy affirmation, what we tend to do is either to act out all of our passions, all of our emotions, to kind of just do whatever feels good, or we tend to repress those emotions. Meaning the repression is we'll use a strong emotion like fear or shame to then repress our attractions and repulsions to things like, oh, that looks good, like food or sex or something like that. And what happens in that process, since the emotion is repressed as opposed to experienced, and then we can, in that experiencing, either choose to do it or not do it, right? Since it's not accepted, the emotions never develop and are never formed by the will and then guided by the reason. So the basic idea of affirmation therapy is that the person receiving the therapy receives this basic affirmation from the practitioner in order to assist them and give them the context by which they can develop that basic emotional development of their passions in order to help them to grow into full maturity. So with that, I'm going to pause. The first question of these Ask Me Anything episodes is available to the general public. The rest of the Ask Me Anything episode are available to members of the Totus Tuus community. If you want to join the Totus Tuus community, head over to physicallyspiritual.com. The Totus Tuus community is our patrons who support the work of Awakened Catholic and the show Physically Spiritual. So head over to physicallyspiritual.com to see the different giving levels and the perks that go along with those levels. And if you want to get access to your premium content, if you're a member of the community or any of the shows that are published here in Awakened Catholic and a great Catholic alternate to social media, get the Awaken app. You can get the Awaken app at theawakenapp.io or searching the Awaken app on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Thank you so much for being a part of Physically Spiritual. Every moment of the show you've watched, know that I'm grateful that you've given your time to this. I'm so passionate about the message that I'm trying to share, and I'm excited about the future of the show. So thank you for every like, every view, every watch, every follow, every comment, every rating you give in the show. And a special thank you to all you that are already members of the Awakened Nation. So thanks again for supporting the show.